I want to really give you some basis of the teaching of Buddha. In fact, as you know, you see, teaching of Buddha, Tingul Khyentse Rinpoche always used to say, teaching of Buddha is vast and profound. Sabji Jachewa in Tibet. Vast is like, you know, if you look into the word of the Buddha, just the word of Buddha, Sangyeka, you know, it's 108 volumes. Kangyur. Not to talk about the work of the great Indian master, which are over 200 volumes. So it's very vast. You see, so that the vast way is the way of the Pandit and the learned. Whereas what's wonderful for us is it's vast but also profound, the profound part of the yogi. So in this respect, I'm not going to talk about the vast way, so you don't worry, okay? That when Buddha was asked, what is the essence of teachings? What's amazing about teaching Buddha, it can be so vast, but also it can be summed up into just 3 points or 4 lines. And Buddha said, when he was asked, what is the essence of teaching, he said, Dikpa chummijashi gewa pusun sopache, rang semni yonsundul dun sangi tenbai. You understand? That, when you translate into English, is commit not a single unwholesome action. Dikpa chummijashi, commit not a single unwholesome action. Gewa pusun sopache means cultivate a wealth of virtue. Rang semni yonsundul is to tame, to conquer, to transform this mind of ours. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. So now, the most important is the third line. Third line. Did you remember the third line? Rangasamni, tame this mind of us. I remember this great master Nyujin Khenpo used to say that the entire teaching of Buddha, 84,000 dharmas, all summed up into one sentence. Rangasamni Yonsunda. To tame this mind. By the way, it says tame this mind of ours, not tame others' mind. Rangasem tindurse Yengasem dusegomata. Rangasem, tame this mind of ours. Because really, Dharma is, if you don't use the Dharma to benefit your mind, Dharma is just outward show. Buddhism is not about rituals, not about ceremonies. Of course, we have a very rich tradition, incredible. One thing amazing about Buddhism is that it is integrated in every fabric of life, in art, in music, in dance, and all kinds of, you see, incredible. But Bhutan is very rich, and Bhutan produced some of the greatest artists also, and craftsmen. In fact, I have built this temple in Lerabling monastery. We have, many of the Bhutanese artists have really contributed greatly to that. Anyway, but even though they are an integral part in a sense, they are part of it, but then you see, that's not the main thing. That's not the main thing. The main thing is Rangasem Nyongsundu, to tame this mind of ours. Choosing in the Semle Pengur. Dharma, see, must help your mind. Is that clear? Help your mind. Even if you don't do too much, just a simple thing. Just a simple thing. To, don't harm others, If you can't help, at least don't harm others. Keep your heart and mind pure and not keep a malice. And that's really good, because you see, when you die, what's important is 2 things. How you lived your life. I mean, not drinking champagne and, things. I mean, but you lived your life helping others, benefiting others. If you lived a good life helping others, and the state of your mind. If your heart and your mind is pure, then you have nothing to worry. Then you don't need anyone to do pujas for you. I mean, pujas help to a certain extent, of course, but it really matters up to you. Guru Rinpoche says, when we say, the lamas, when you invite them to do, like a Nande and Changchok, and say, now you're at the crossroad of destiny, and Pat Rinpoche mentioned this in Gulana Mikyalu. Well, it's a bit too late. When you're in a pardo, completely, your mind is blown away by the karmic winds. I mean, you need a really powerful lama to come and say, So therefore, it's much better to rely upon yourself. Rely upon yourself. In fact, Dujun used to say that if you do your own practice, it's much more powerful. I'm showing the most important point that we need to do, particularly when you're kind of young, when you're just ordinary person, maybe does not know about ceremonies, all these things. Well, doesn't mean that you're not really, you're just out of the picture. That you can really learn and do practice yourself. Buddhism is that. Buddhism is about transforming the mind. Is that clear? So, Buddhism is about transforming the mind. In fact, the mind is the root of everything. Is the creator of happiness and the creator of suffering. Creator of what we call samsara and creator of what we call nirvana. In fact, mind is known as Kunye Gyalpo, like the king who's responsible for everything. Or modern translation would be the universal ordering principle. Is creator of happiness, the creator of suffering. And is also what we call samsara. In fact, one great master from the Mahamudra tradition, said, samsara is mind turned outwardly, lost in its projection, is samsara. Whereas nirvana is mind turned inwardly, recognizing nature. In fact, masters say, it depends which direction your mind is turned. Because when you talk about Nangpa, we call ourselves Nangpa. Nangpa means what? Nangpa means those who seek truth not outside. Those who seek truth in the nature mind is Nangpa. Is that clear? In fact, what is important to remember is that mind has two aspects. Okay? Mind has two aspects. There is the appearance aspect of mind. That's the essence and nature mind. Okay? Like the sun. Sun's rays is not the sun. It's the rays coming from the sun, of course. But the sun itself. Unfortunately, in the modern world, whenever we talk of mind, people think it's thoughts, emotions. Thoughts, emotions are the appearance of mind, but not the mind itself. That's why when you come to understand the mind, not be lost in the thoughts, not to turn outwardly lost in thoughts, emotions, but turn inwardly to recognize nature mind, which is to really allow your mind quietly, settle in the state of natural peace. Ranjin Shiwachimpo, as Nyusin Rinpoche, a very beautiful poem, very much inspired by Longshen Pas, the omniscient Longshen Pas, what's called Semying also, mind in comfort and ease. A poem that's inspired by that says, rest in natural great peace. This exhausted mind, beaten helplessly by karma and neurotic thoughts, like the relentless fury of the pounding waves in the infinite ocean of samsara. Rest in natural peace. Just allow your mind to rest. Because at the moment, what has happened is that you see, our mind is everywhere. I tell my students that we're everywhere and nobody's at home. So actually, you miss yourself. You miss really yourself. You're never home. That's why actually you're not happy. Because you're not there. That's why you're not content. And therefore we're looking for happiness outside of ourselves. And sometimes we are afraid to be alone. They're afraid to be quiet. In fact, interesting, a French philosopher, Pascal, he said, all of men's, which is also women's problems, also all of men's, in those days, early days, they always said men, mankind, which also includes. Of course, these days, it's not politically correct. It's not mankind, but humanity is the word. Anyway, so he said, Pascal said, all of men's difficulty comes from his inability to sit quietly in a room by himself. You see, when you talk about meditation of mind, if I tell very simply, it's how to be with your mind, how to hang out with your mind. How to hang out with your mind, not thinking. Bit like you see, when you ride a bicycle, I try to ride a bicycle, I always fell down, and I've never succeeded. But you see, I'm amazed by people who know how to ride bicycle, like the Dutch on bicycle, my God. They can do anything, everything. So when you know how to ride a bicycle, just the moment you get onto the bicycle, well, what you have is balance. Because you have the balance, then you just get to the balance, then you don't fall down. What we've lost is the balance of the mind. Balance. Too much here, too much there. Particularly for practitioners, redok, hope and fear. Hope and fear. Which the Lama say is redok du, is really the demon, is the hope and fear. Also what is called korvechu, samsaric dharma. The 8 samsaric dharmas are all comes from hope and fear. Hope for happiness, fear of suffering. Hope for fame, fear of infamy. Hope for gain, fear of loss. And so, hope for praise, fear of blame. All these are hope and fear. And sometimes hope and fear, and it's exhausting. Often it doesn't really add up, or really, you hope, you never get it. And all that you fear also you don't meet. Really. And then when you realize more, it's all just ridiculous, just complete waste of time. And just therefore just to give up. Not give up, in meaning give up, but you let go. You're giving up, letting go is not giving up. So very much how to be. You understand? How to be. Actually let it be. Very much. Let it be. In fact, you see, if I go back a little, that the great master of Uddiyana, that's Guru Rinpoche, he said, don't seek to cut the root of phenomena, cut the root of the mind. If you cut the root of mind, you will know one thing which resolves all. If you don't cut the root of mind, you know everything but forever stuck on one. And another translation, because sometimes you need different translations to get a full picture. Another translation says, don't investigate the root of things. Investigate the root of the mind. Because if you investigate the root of mind, once the mind root has been found, you will know one thing, yet all is thereby freed. But if the root of mind you fail to find, you will know everything but nothing understand. If you really understand the mind, realize the nature, this is the greatness of the Buddhist teachings. Extraordinary about understanding the nature mind. Because if you come to know the nature mind, then you have the master key that opens all the door. A one medicine that cure all disease. Is that very much that? As I was saying, unfortunately with us, you see, that always we are turned in the wrong direction, turned outwardly. As the great master says, samsara, korva, is mind turned outwardly, lost in its projections. Because, you notice that, you see, we're always doing things, we're always speaking, we're always thinking, but we have no idea of the doer, the speaker, or the thinker, or the stinker. You understand? I think probably you remember the stinker. Stinker is the thinker, because if you think too much, it stinks. Because when you go mad or crazy, it's very easy if you think too much. If you think lot, again, then, your energy lung problem comes and go, then you can just, you lose your balance and everything, very much. In fact, it's like facing the west and looking for the sunrise. Or there's a very famous example that Patrum uses. He has said, it's like keeping the elephant at home, but looking for its footprints in the forest. Elephant is here, but looking for footprints in the forest. You see? Trouble is we go further looking for ourselves in our thoughts, emotions, this thing. Then you see there's endless. It's a bit like you send somebody to look for somebody, you another that got lost, and just, this complete circus. Whereas, of course, even if you've gone further, if you trace your foot back and you find, then you see. You understand? So the main thing is not a very, in some ways it's extraordinary. It's simple. One thing these teachings are, we think they're very complex. Well, in one way it's complex, but then when you meet really teachers like Jamankin Chujlode or Tengu Khyentse Rinpoche, Dudjom Rinpoche, they try to show you very simply the profound truth, directly to show you. In fact, extraordinary about Tengu Khyentse Rinpoche, in his later years, he became, just seeing him is an introduction. He is, really. We've had many, many great masters, enlightened beings in the past. We hear a story about them, we never met anybody. But we are so fortunate that he came at this time, particularly at this very special transition. Went from Tibet into the world, you see, at this juncture, there's somebody who is really an embodiment of he's a legend. He is, you see, very much coming here in this that we could see, we could hear, we're touched by his wisdom mind, his kindness, his compassion, his love. And then we come to realize, we know how Buddhas are because we met Khyentse Rinpoche. I come to know even what Guru Rinpoche is, a little bit from seeing Dudjom Rinpoche, Tengu Khyentse Rinpoche, and all these masters. So what I wanted to share with you, something like, is this helpful for you? What I'm sharing with you. Because we need to really understand the essence of our teaching. Sometimes unfortunate in the Buddhist country, that we are so, how do you say, that the teachings are so rare. It's almost ridiculous. Really. It's such a pity. It's like the teachings are there, but it's so secret. In fact, ultimately, in which direction our mind is turned, you see. So the main thing is, you see, as I said, we're everywhere, nobody's at home. So the whole point of meditation is to bring our mind home, where it truly belongs. You understand? When you do meditation, of course, when you do meditation, you focus on, you see, a certain object of, of focus of your meditation. But basically, it's a way to bring the mind and allow your thoughts, all your thoughts and all your confusion, everything, just quietly settle. So that, before in the 60s and things, when you see movies, like in Kalimpong and others, picture and, like that, isn't it? Never together. I remember in Capital Cinema and other places. Especially if you're in the front row. Because now, of course, it's different, but it's a bit like that, you see. We never. So that slowly, you see, we kind of gel together. Come, then make sense. Makes profound sense. Something in your gut level. You feel it. Really. Just this coming home. This is when we meet great masters or our Tsawel Lama or something. We feel what they do. What is extraordinary thing about them is that they actually introduce to you. They create the environment in which you feel yourself. They're like the mirror. They mirror you. Also, sometimes they can mirror also the difficult parts also. What you need to work with too. But that very much, you see, they show us. So, anyway, just to go back a little bit, the most important thing is to transform your mind. To transform. If you were to ask, what is the essence of Buddhism? It's to tame this mind. Tame, conquer, or understand. To transform. You see, because why? If you conquer your mind, if you transform your mind, or if you tame your mind, then what happens? Then your personal experience and your perception will be transformed. So, Nawa. Interesting Tibetan word, our word, Nawa. Nawa is both perception and appearance. That you conquer the Nawa by conquering the mind. If you conquer the mind, then one's perception and one's experience is transformed. Thereby, even the appearance will appear differently. That's why also the great master in the Mahamudra lineage, in the great Kagyu lineage, the forefather, the first human master is Telopa. whose disciple is Naropa. Naropa's disciple is Marpa, the great translator. Then Marpa's disciple is Milarepa, the great yogi, saint, and poet who inspired millions of lives. And Milarepa is such extraordinary, really. And so Naropa Suktu, he was a very great Pandit, but then he had a kind of a vision which a Dakini, or his personal deity, said that you haven't still got it. Now you need to really pursue it further to find really the truth. Then he said, your karmic guru, your teacher is Delopa. And we went and found, there's a long story you find, very inspiring. Kunzala Mechalong, you should read that because you find many beautiful stories there. And so Delopa finally, you see, showed him. He said, Pu means my son. I'm very affectionately calling, his son said, Pu nawe machi nzimbechings. That means, is Pu, son. It's not the phenomena, this appearance, that's the trouble, that's the problem. That's bind us. You see, problem is not the circumstances or all these things that appear. Phenomena is not the problem. You understand? To put it very simply, it's not the problem. Problem is your mind, the grasping. But now much, it's not the appearance that binds us or imprisons us. It's the mind, the craving, that imprisons us. To abandon grasping on Naropa. But now much in Zimbechi. Because you see, mind itself, if you really look deeply into the mind itself is like a crystal. It's pure. Like the sky, like the crystal. Crystal, you see, whatever you place under it, if you put green cloth, it becomes green. Yellow cloth, it becomes yellow. Red cloth becomes yellow, red. Whatever you occupy your mind is that. That's why Buddha said in the very famous Dhammapada, he said, we are what we think. All that we are arise with our thoughts. With the thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with impure mind and trouble will follow you, as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. There should be little music there. Little Sita. We are what we think. All that we are arise with the thoughts. With the thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with pure mind, and happiness will follow as your shadow unshakable. Even Shakespeare says in Hamlet, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Or sometimes we say it very simply, say, nothing is good or bad, thinking makes it so. But the correct this quote is, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's the thinking.